Welcome, Star Pilots, to our first discussion episode of NYC X-Wing. I'm Cal Neuvost.
And I am Jaws.
And we are joined here today by John DiMaggio.
Hey.
He was the winner of our recent store championship at the Compleat Strategist. Would you like to talk a little bit, John, about your recent victory?
Sure.
Spoilers.
Yeah.
If you haven't watched our other videos yet, go and watch the games, and then we'll see what we're talking about.
Watch episodes 1 through 3, please. our episodes 1 through 3.
Yeah, I was gonna say, don't watch the other episodes.
Not Georgie Quadges. Not that guy.
So, Whisper and Sherry, tell us about them.
I flew a two-ship build. It was Chirinu and Whisper. Chirinu had Expose, Experimental Interface, Rebel Captive, and I'm going to mispronounce this, Yasani.
Isan
Azard. And Whisper with VI, Fire Control System, and Advanced Cloaking Device, and so it was the typical sort of get all of the actions Whisper. And it worked out well. I went 4-1. I lost to Joe. Again, kudos, Joe.
Pro Joe. Cheers, buddy.
And yeah, I was mostly concerned about fat turrets, and so I figured, especially with Isan, and C-3PO being a thing.
We don't want to piss off Mike K.
With those being a thing, I felt you really needed to have 4 attack dice to get through sort of that defense. So I figured it would be a good counter to that. But that being said, I didn't really face any fat turrets, so my read on the meta was completely off.
Not that fat turns weren't there, I suppose.
Yeah,
right. We were running them.
Yeah, it just didn't happen to pair up. It didn't Swiss up that tournament. So
right, it's just one of those things about when you're playing in a tournament. Sometimes you get good matchups, and sometimes you get lousy matchups.
I mean, that being said, you did sweep all of your wins. It was only
you didn't lose a ship.
Yeah.
In the games that you won, which is great.
That was pretty nice. Which is one of the benefits of running a 2-ship list is that quite often you're either going to get wiped or you're going to wipe them. Sometimes you lose a ship and you have a slight win, but a lot of times, it's nice having a big ship that has all your points invested in it, and you gotta fly carefully. You can't fly off the board, but if you can do that,
good advice.
Don't fly off the board. Yeah, pro tips.
Thanks for watching.
Take care. But yeah, it was a good tournament. Thank you again for running it, Cal. I had a lot of fun.
Kudos. Yes, indeed.
Yeah, it was definitely eye-opening. I'm looking forward to, and this will maybe segue into our next topic, is the whole pillars of the Wave 6 meta, and with sort of things coming out, how this is going to change the tournament scene, and whether or not it's going to just be the upgrades or the new Scum factions or new types of control lists. I don't know if...
Well, John, you just asked yourself a very interesting question.
Yes, I know. It was a good question. I thought I'd segued that pretty well, but... I don't know, what
this interview runs itself.
What do I pay you guys for anyway? But no,
so actually, I wanted to seg away from that for just a moment and touch on the topic of the preparation of yours.
Oh, right.
Of leading up to the tournament, during the tournament, and what you did specifically. As far as misreading the meta, aside from that, we had our James B, who we featured in our second episode. It was kind enough to share his whole process as far as what he did throughout the day and what he could have done differently. Well,
James has won a store championship since then. Congratulations, James.
Congratulations, James. But one point that he made was, don't have a heavy meal.
Right, don't have a heavy meal halfway through.
Because once that itis hits, it's down. It's down.
And I mean, it's totally, we saw him set up his bigs really well, and then he just flew it in kind of the wrong direction, and I can see a whole bunch of greasy Wendy's doing that to a person. John, do you have anything else?
John, he mentioned staying hydrated was important.
Yeah,
so
definitely.
being able to optimize your focus. So what would you suggest personally?
Yeah, I thought his post was really good.
We'll link to that in the description.
For sure. You want to stay hydrated, eat a big breakfast, because honestly it's going to be a long day. You're not going to get a lot to eat. Bring a lot of snacks, whether that's like trail mix, healthy snacks, not Wendy's, not taking anything away from Wendy's, but yeah, you want to eat some light
Take
stuff.
something away from it.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, if you have like a canteen with you, and I think I mentioned having comfortable shoes, it's really good. Just being able to sit when you can is really, really helpful, because you're on your feet all day. So whatever your most comfortable pair of shoes, whatever that might be, wear them, because you're definitely going to be standing for a long time.
Yeah, they can be a little
you
tough,
animal.
little tough on the claws there. So yeah, standing all day is something that maybe people aren't used to in desk jobs. So come prepared for that, right? Yeah. So let's seg back.
Okay, we're gonna seg back
into our Wave 6
We were about to
discussion.
discuss the Wave 6 meta, both the new things that Wave 6 is bringing in and the top tier competitive meta and perhaps the more subtle changes that we'll see through upgrade cards and such.
Yeah, sure. I mean, I don't claim to be any kind of expert, but I feel that the new... No. I feel the new upgrade cards have a lot to offer, maybe more so than the new faction. I like auto thrusters a lot. I think it's going to do a number on the amount of turrets we see. It's basically Fantasy Flight's way of evening out sort of the meta, and whether or not it's going to have turrets completely disappear, I doubt that.
Yeah.
But
it's not something that I see happening as far as
no.
eliminating turrets. If you block a Soon tier, you block a Whisper. Auto thrusters doesn't really do anything for you.
Right. They still have the same.
If you point your turret in the right direction, actually play the game that was
This
created
gun is
for arcs.
currently facing this direction, but
it should be to avoid those auto thrusters. But even if they're pointed this way, it's not really that big of a deal, because if you're at range 1, they blank out. They're still going to take a hefty amount of damage.
Not going to go that way.
So if you have an auto thrusters, if you're facing off against an auto thrusters, get into range 1. You can one shot a Soon tier, still.
Right. And what I was alluding to earlier was you eliminate the weakness, or not completely eliminate the weakness of turrets, but you still have the same weakness of getting blocked. And if you get blocked with Soon tier, you're gonna get owned. I mean, you don't have any actions, you're really vulnerable. So I think there's still a good step in the right direction, where they're going to try and sort of balance out this really good 2-shift list that's sort of really prolific in the meta. But beyond that, I think Rebel Control has a lot of feet, or a lot of legs. Legs have feet. Does that make sense? No, it has a lot of legs. So I think that things like a lot of wings, sure. B-Wing specifically. B-Wings with Tactician, I think, has done quite well and will continue to do quite well.
Shoutouts to Bruno for winning the Common Store Championship with Luke 2 B-Wings with Tactician and an A-Wing. Very cool to see Rebel Control doing so well, in addition to Joe's list and James's list that we've seen in our recent videos.
Yeah, I think it's a nice sort of counter to these high agility, high mobility ships, where you have this really stable kind of rock of these arcs you must avoid, otherwise that you're going to get trapped and you're going to get double stressed or double ioned or what have you. And it's a good thing. I definitely like that sort of way of limiting your opponent's options, because without options, your opponent just can't make as many good maneuvers. They can't outplay you. You're sort of limiting what they can do against you, and having limited options is always going to be a good way of sort of handling a really skilled player, because without those options, they're useless. They have fewer
if the points
tools to
that
use.
you spent on your squad you can't utilize,
Right.
you're not gonna.
Sure.
And so, of course, the Scum got their own control sorts of builds with a lot of things. Do you think there's any chance that we will see Scum control in the way that we've seen Rebel control recently?
I think there's some possibility. I like the cartel spacers. I think they're a really cheap kind of Swiss Army knife of a ship. You You can tune it to have some damage with Mangler Cannon and even HLC. You can make it into sort of a control ship with Island Cannon or Flechette Cannon. You can just run it bare bones and be really cheap, but at that point, I think
right. Maybe you just want the Z and to throw something.
Yeah. I feel like you sort of want to use it for that Swiss Army knife sort of purpose, and it can do whatever you need to do in your squad. Beyond that, some of the Hawks are interesting. Their abilities are certainly powerful, but just none of the ships really have the bite of a B-wing. So I have my hopes that they will do well, and Scum will prove me wrong and do really well in the upcoming tournament scene.
Right.
But I think they might struggle when they hit a strong B-wing.
And I assume you do mean outside of the aggressors, because the aggressors seem to have hit the tournament scene like a ton of bricks.
Yeah, the aggressors, they're sort of like the Scum Phantom. I quite like their maneuverability. They have a lot of options, a lot of upgrades. They're still a 2-ship list, so you have that MOV advantage in a tournament.
New York's gonna love them.
Yeah, they already do. They're amazing. I quite like the ships. They're really mobile. They have a limited arc, but you really need to play with that arc to be able to make the most of the ship. And it's a really fun ship to fly. If you haven't tried it, please do. I'm not paid at all by FFG. It's great. But
no, we pay FFG.
Yeah.
Here's all our money.
Yeah.
Thank you for your wonderful games.
So
great. We were finally hoping to talk about what you were perhaps thinking of bringing to the next tournaments. At the Uncommons, you brought Whisper and a mini swarm. What do you think you will bring to the next Tour Championship?
Do we feel another 2-ship build? A little digression there?
Divulge my secret.
You're such a hater.
Well, yeah, I'm not sure. I brought a little mini swarm with Whisper against Bruno at the Uncommons. I liked it. It just part of me doesn't feel that the tie really has a place in the meta. I hate to say that, but it just feels like with so many high agility ships out there, you kind of feel useless against that sort of overwhelming arc dodging ability. And not to say it's a bad ship; it's an incredibly efficient ship, but. I didn't quite like it. So
you just don't think that 2 attack dice are going to be able to get through all those agility dice you're saying is the reason?
It doesn't cut it, I feel like. So I think I'm going to stick with either a 2 or a 3-ship build. I like either the Decimator with Syntir. I think Stealth Device Autobuster Syntir is a nice ship, and you can soup out your Decimator a little more. Double IG-88s, I think, are a lot of fun. I know Mike sort of has the
he's in the driver's seat of those right now.
He doesn't have to be the only IG-88 player,
but it has some legs.
He'll be the IG.
I do want to try actually Adrenaline Rush with Proximity Mines on the IG-88s with B and D, because with D you can get that weird sort of 3-turn, and with the Adrenaline Rush you can flip your ship and drop a Proxy Mine on a Syntir or a Whisper. And I think that's their biggest weakness. I think it's a really good ship against every other ship out there, but those Arc Dodgers, I think the new Proxy Mine rules will definitely help a little bit against them. And I want to try it out. I think it'll be a lot of fun. So, yeah. Oh, and maybe try out Captain Yor, because I think with the stress builds and control list being so hot right now, I think he has a place. So
a little something like the national champion.
Yeah, exactly that. With Syntir and Whisper, and
a little resurgence of the shuttle would be nice.
Yeah,
I think it could work. So I'm thinking of one of those 3 lists. I'll let you guys think about
prepare around that.
But I think one of those will be a lot of fun.
Very cool. Well, John, thank you so much for coming on to our first discussion episode of NYC X-Wing. We hope that you have enjoyed looking at our beautiful faces, in addition to listening to our delicious voices. Delicious voices, exactly.
Cheers,
what I was thinking. Please like, subscribe, do that YouTube stuff. Follow us at NYC X-Wing on Twitter. Join our Facebook group, NYC X-Wing, if I haven't said that enough times. My name is Cal Neuvost.
I am Jaws.
I'm John.
Good night, Internet.
You can edit that.